if you want to get the grants, you already have to show some data as well. So it's becoming a lot of chicken and egg problem. So having AI as a tool that can help you to think through, then sure, you still have to use the experts, but then you only need 1 hour. You're just going, okay, that's my list of points, that's my list of questions. Am I on the right track?
Few fields are as perfectly placed to be impacted by AI as niche, heavily regulated industries like medtech. Previously, these sectors were notoriously difficult to innovate into. There was a huge knowledge barrier. Regulatory experts, clinical consultants, legal specialists, all massively expensive. These were the real gatekeepers. But that same structure that creates those barriers, FDA guidelines and ISO standards and clinical protocols, these are what makes regulated industries perfect for AI. Everything's documented, everything's structured, it's all written down. The FDA clearly explains exactly what they need. So you can say, let's work on section 1. Here's the output we need. Here's the input, which is our data. Go.
As opposed to paying somebody for hundreds of hours actually creating that. So I think, especially on the medtech, because we don't like how regulated it is and how structured it is, but actually that structure provides AI perfect tool because it's so well defined.
Before AI, the maths was brutal. Hundreds of thousands to reach clinical trials, which meant you needed funding before proving that your solutions worked, which meant convincing investors to bet on unvalidated tech. AI doesn't eliminate expertise, but it does change the economics of accessing it. So now you don't need full-time regulatory staff. You don't need to pay consultants for hundreds of hours. Founders can do much of the research and documentation themselves.
I can actually do the whole work and make sure that our protocols comply, take into consideration everything they should as we're thinking about the next clinical study. So then I only need 1, maybe 2 hours of experts to review it. And that's massive. Barrier of entry was, how do I know without being an expert? So now you can learn that very quickly about what you really need. So then you're only spending the money on the consulting when you're ready for that. You don't go to the meeting, scratching your head, what should I be doing? You go into the meeting, oh, by the way, here's my draft. Here's my list of questions. Am I on the right track?
And this is what makes the traditional niche industries particularly interesting when applied to AI. Expensive gatekeepers used to control access. It was very much winner take all. Only the well-capitalized competed. But AI democratizes specialist knowledge. Like so many disruptive waves before, more people can now play, more teams can try, more ideas get tested. The best will still win, but the field is wider.
I think we've seen that, especially in Poland, with initial wave of AI, people, a lot of software houses were getting smaller because they were getting much less contracts because they rely actually on people actually doing that innovation, doing those first steps. So there was like a winter for software engineering for about half a year. But what's happening now, during that year, a lot of people had much AI lowered that barrier of entry. So people could go prototype themselves and much faster validate those ideas without the need of the big funding and end up with a successful validated proposal or idea. So now they're coming back, but not to do the initial work, not that initial validation that is very risky, but actually with bigger funding, with already proved ideas.
AI won't cure counsel, but it might enable the team that does by removing that early raise, the regulatory burden, compressing the time frame by making knowledge inclusive rather than exclusive.
Of course, still you have to know what to ask about. You have to have the expertise. Even with the smaller teams, you can achieve so much more.